Okay, so let's call the regular Sonora City Council meeting to order for May 2nd at 4:03 p.m. Roll call.
Mayor Hawkins?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Plummer?
Here.
Councilmember Such?
Here.
Councilmember Garaventa?
Here.
Councilmember Segerstrom?
Here.
All of us are here. One is joining by Zoom, so that means any votes we do will be a roll call vote. And this is for
I'll be down pretty quickly, actually. I just wanted to catch the beginning.
Well, Jim, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, are there any public comments about our closed session before we go into closed session? Chris, you're part of the public. Is there anything you want to say before we go into closed session? Okay. Okay, so we're going to adjourn into closed session at 4:04 p.m. I'd like to call the regular Sonora City Council meeting to order at 5:02 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, would you lead that Pledge of Allegiance for us, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Plummer. Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Hawkins?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Plummer?
Here.
Councilmember Such?
Here.
Councilmember Garaventa?
Here.
Councilmember Segerstrom?
Here.
Let the record show that all 5 of us are here. City Clerk's report on agenda posting.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, April 28th at 2:00 p.m.
And approval of the agenda. Any council members want to change anything? Okay. Report out of closed session. That direction was given to staff. Okay, now we're on to the fun part, presentations. Receive an update from Tuolumne County District 1 Supervisor, Mr. David Goldenberg.
Sure how this is gonna work. Is this okay if it goes down a bit? Yeah, maybe so. We're good. Good evening, Council. Mayor Hawkins, members of the council, Administrator. So, you know, things are evening out on the COVID front. And look at this, right? We got a crowd here. You know, people are able to get out, and it's really nice to see. There still are, you know, a number of cases that are occurring. There's a new variant, but it's looking so much better. Few things to report out on the Fire Safety Advisory Committee. We've been working on a vegetation management ordinance for some time now, working with Chief New, and she has done just a wonderful job assisting us. We've had a number of public meetings. We've met with the Farm Bureau. I think it's 4 times now. And, you know, we're coming, you know, to, in our discussions, coming to agreements. The county draft climate action plan was released just today, late this afternoon. I emailed a copy to Ann and Melissa, you know, so that you guys would have it. And Quincy Yele from our CDD is looking for some comments on this final draft. Tomorrow, you know, on the county side, we've got a very full agenda. We've got a lot of things that we're going to be discussing. You know, one of the ones that is, you know, probably of most interest is what are we doing with the American Recovery Plan Act, ARPA, you know, funds. And so we've got that on the agenda tomorrow. We've got there's always more asks than there is dollars available, right? We all realize that. So, you know, but we're looking at projects that will benefit the county as a whole, and some of the projects definitely, you know, could intertwine with the city. Recently attended California State Association of county's legislative session in Sacramento about a week ago. Good session, a lot of people there, made good contacts. And again, some of the contacts that I've been talking to recently includes the Northern California director for BLM. And there's a number of BLM pockets within the city or just on the city edges. So we ended up having a good follow-up meeting. We met for about an hour and a half in my office and talked about what can we do looking at defensible space as a high priority. Also met with the CAL FIRE Chief Deputy Director Chris Anthony. At the time, he was Assistant Deputy Director for what they call co-op fire, but he was just promoted last week. So he's second in charge of CAL FIRE. So probably a good contact to have. Other than that, let me see here. Working with ATCA. ATCA's working closely with the city, still looking at where we can go especially on homeless issues. We've got a lot of different things, and my involvement on the homeless commission on homelessness, is I probably have 3 or 4 meetings a week just with that group. So other than that, that's pretty much what I had, but I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
There we go. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you for the report.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Excellent. Okay. Next is a swearing-in ceremony and introduction of 2 police community service officers, Charles Shadle and Rylan Madishak. Okay. Chief Vanderweel is coming up.
Mr. Mayor, if it's all right with the council, could I combine this item with the next one and also do the introduction and swearing in of the police officer?
I'm down. Sounds good.
All right, sounds good. So in that case, we'll have Michelle stand up as well. Mr. Mayor, Honorable Council, no action required on this item. It's my pleasure to introduce Community Service Officer Charles Shadle, Community Service Officer Rylan Madishak, and Police Officer Michelle Hopper. Charles and Rylan tested for their positions between August and October of last year. Charles was hired on December 11th, and Rylan was hired on December 14th. Both have completed their field training in various aspects of the job. Michelle also tested in October of last year and was hired on March 26th, and she is currently undergoing a rigorous 14-week field training program. In a few minutes, I'll invite additional members up to help with the badge pinning. For Charles, I guess it's going to be Officer Brickley. Is that correct? And then Rylan's father, Randy, is here for Rylan. And then Michelle's mother, Peggy. Is Peggy here tonight? All right, great. All right, so we'll start with Chuck. Please step forward. Charles, aka Chuck Shadle, has been associated with the United States Army for more than 65 years in one capacity or another. The grandson of an Army general and the son of an Army colonel. He has spent his early years moving from state to state as his father was posted at various assignments. After Chuck graduated college, he followed in his father's footsteps and joined the Army as a second lieutenant. He retired in 1995 as a lieutenant colonel with 25 years of service. He then began a second career as an IT cybersecurity contractor for the Department of Defense, which took him to many locations within the United States and also to Iraq. Finally, after living in so many places throughout his life, Chuck happily settled in the beautiful foothills of Sonora, and working as a community service officer is his first experience with law enforcement. He humbly states it's a learning curve, but it's a challenge that is not only interesting, but promising to be very rewarding, he says. He is happy and proud to be able to contribute in a small way to the city of Sonora. So please remain right there, Chuck. Rylan, I'll have you step forward. Rylan Matishak was born in Fresno and grew up in Coors Gold. He comes from a family of law enforcement professionals and has a passion for the job throughout his life. Rylan moved to Sonora with his family in 2017 and graduated from Sonora High School in 2021. He is enrolled at Columbia College and is working on his associate's degree in social and behavioral sciences. He plans to ultimately acquire a bachelor's degree. He also plans to use his skills and experiences from being a community service officer to becoming a police officer with the Sonora Police Department and continuing to serve this great community he calls home. Michelle. Michelle graduated the police academy in March and will have to complete a 14-week field training program before working as a solo officer. Michelle initially started a career in public service as an EMT after graduating high school. She worked in the Oakland-Hayward area for about a year as an EMT, but left the industry to raise a family. She then decided to attend college, where she attained an associate's degree in liberal arts, a BA in liberal studies, an MA in curriculum and instruction, and also her teaching credentials. Michelle has been teaching in various capacities for 25 years and has been in the middle school arena for about 17 years. After all of her children graduated school, Michelle decided to revisit her passion for public service and put herself through the police academy. She has lived in Angels Camp for the past 11 years, and she calls the Sierra Foothills her home. She's excited to start her new career in Sonora, serving this beautiful community. So right now, I'm going to administer the oath of office. And once I do that, I'll have the badge pinner step forward and pin the respective badges. So if all of you will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. And I take this obligation freely without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion. And I will faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Hoorah. Badge pinners, please step forward. And anyone who wants to take photos. Come forward if you'd like. All right, if you are ready, go ahead and pin the badges. All right. Mr. Mayor and Honorable Council, I proudly present the newest members of the Police Department and our newest police professionals. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next, number 5 is receive the Sonora Fire Department's Firefighter of the Year for 2021.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable council members, members of the public. Tonight, we are introducing our Sonora Firefighter of the Year for 2021. Each year, the city of Sonora recognizes outstanding employees across each department, giving us all the opportunity to recognize and thank some of our best team members. The Firefighter of the Year award began in 1994 and is unique to the city in that our recognition program is entirely peer-driven. Recognition that comes from the peers acknowledging each other for outstanding service. That's very, very rewarding. Tonight, unfortunately, Captain Gregory is unable to be with us. He had scheduled vacation, and so he wanted me to accept this award on his behalf. But I wanted to read some of the quotes and votes that came in for him for recognizing him as Firefighter of the Year for 2021. So it's always kind of exciting to read these things and know what's behind the scenes in the department 24/7. Britton is always willing to work, even when inconvenient. And I know down in here as well, it said that he responded back to the Washington fire after the birth of his son. And so he was on FMLA. And again, that's not convenient to come back in, but he knows how important it is to be in the city and to respond. And he's very dedicated to this department and this community. So that really shows. Britton goes above and beyond for the fire department and the community. He takes pride in fixing the station, equipment, and encourages others to leave things better than they found them. For those that came to the station in the last 4 years, you'll be able to see a lot of his work. He's been instrumental in redoing the floors at the station, tearing out the 26-year-old carpet, and using his own sweat and tears after hours to put in the pergo flooring that the city purchased. So not only is he very crafty and handy, but he saved on installation for the city as well, doing the work himself with his crew members. And so he takes a lot of pride in that and keeping the station as part of the city and a home for the firefighters. He's also repainted the entire inside of the station. He helps out with public works items because we know we're all short staffed. So he's one to go in and say if we need to replace a toilet or fix a O-ring or do some lighting work, whatever he can do that's not going to be a liability, he steps up. He's always the one that raises his hand. So Captain Gregory works after hours to complete projects around the station. He's very dedicated and takes pride in making the fire station a home for all of us. So those were just a few of the statements from his peers that were turned in for the vote. And again, he apologizes for not being able to be here, but we have a plaque that reads, and it has 4 firefighters. It says the bravest. It says Sonora Fire Department Firefighter of the Year 2021, Britton Gregory for outstanding service. So he wanted to say again his apologies for not being able to be here, and thank you very much.
Okay, next, make sure Chief Vanderweel's back in. Okay, good. Okay, receive the Sonora Police Department's 2021 employee recognitions.
Mr. Mayor, honorable council, there's no action required on this item. And we'd like to recognize our employees of the year for 2021. Each year, the police department recognizes exceptional performance in 5 different categories. These recognitions are peer nominated and supervisor endorsed. Wherever possible, I use extracted text from the actual nomination forms. Tonight, the recipients will be receiving their plaques. And we also have an award ceremony in October for them for ribbons as well. The individuals that were selected for Employees of the Year for 2021 are as followed, and I will have them come up one at a time, and I'll read the recognition, and then we'll bring the next one up. So the first one is Officer Thomas Brickley. Please come up. Thomas began his law enforcement career in 2017 as a community service officer, such as the ones that were just sworn in. He transitioned to a sworn peace officer in 2019 and quickly developed into a well-rounded officer. His peers say he goes above and beyond what is typically expected of a police officer. He contributes to the department, including his contributions to the department include field training officer, taser instructor, driver's training instructor, public information officer, SPOA president, and Narcan instructor. He also spends time mentoring junior volunteers in his spare time. Thomas is always willing to work extra shifts. He is there when you need him, and he is a pleasure to work with. One employee commented, "I love how his interactions with the public are genuine." Another employee said that Thomas brings community spirit to the department, and another said, "He's a hard worker, a go-getter, and he shares his snacks with me." As chief of police, I appreciate that Thomas frequently looks for ways to help us provide a better service to the community. His moral compass is properly calibrated, and I can count on him to do the right thing all the time. So with that, I present your plaque for Officer of the Year for 2021. There you are. Okay, next to Danny Duffy. I knew I saw him. So Reserve Officer of the Year is Danny Duffy. Could you please come up here, Danny? Danny's been with us since 2018. He's a retired Coast Guard officer with a great deal of service experience. His peers describe him as dependable, supportive, and a joy to work around. Our staff appreciates his extra attention and assuring his partners stay safe. One officer stated, "I can count on him to have my back." Danny is known to always be willing to step up and help out. He stays until all the work is done and never complains. Danny is a wealth of knowledge, and he brings a professional demeanor and calming presence to every situation. In addition, Danny commutes to donate his time to our city. He receives a modest stipend, but donates what he earns to the SPOA to help its members out even further. One employee commented that Danny is a great friend and will go out of his way to brighten someone's day. As a chief, I appreciate his life experience and mentorship to the rest of the team. So thank you very much. I don't think I saw Naomi. Okay, I'll just read a quick bit about Naomi. She was nominated for Civilian Employee of the Year. I think all of you probably know her name by now. Naomi has been with the department since 2009. She's worked both sides of the 911 dispatch center, which means she's been a sworn peace officer and a dispatcher as well. She decided at some point that working behind the dispatch center best suits her family life. Even though I keep trying to talk her out into coming back on the street. But I do respect her decision, and she is a phenomenal dispatcher. Her peers cite her professional and fun demeanor, along with her extra efforts to support her coworkers. She's described as a great dispatcher, but staff also note her work with creating and improving forms and filing systems, which everyone knows saves our team a great deal of time. Her coworkers praise her positive attitude and willingness to help others, and they appreciate the personal time she gives to the SPOA. In addition, Naomi is a communications training officer and puts a great deal of energy into that responsibility. As a chief, I can't say enough about Naomi's dedication to the department, her support of her peers, and her commitment to public service. So if you're watching this on Rewind, thank you, Naomi. So next up, I have our chaplain, Randy. Where are you at? So this is the Marshall McMaster Community Service Volunteer of the Year. So our chaplain is a volunteer for our department. So all the joy and comfort he brings to us and everyone we deal with is all on his own free given time, with a little help from above, I'm guessing. All right. So Randy was selected as chaplain for our agency in January of 2021. He's a member of our community service volunteer unit, but comes with specific qualifications for that position of trust that he is in. You may see Randy in a reflective vest from time to time directing traffic, but his primary function is community policing relations and department members' well-being. His willingness to drop what he is doing in support of our SPD staff and community members have earned him a great deal of appreciation from his peers. He's a significant contributor to SPD's peer support program and has the forethought to check in on staff when the environment becomes unsettled. Randy rarely misses a function or event, and our officers especially appreciate his willingness to be a role player during training scenarios. So there's a little joke he gets beat up on a little bit, and he volunteers for it and comes out smiling on the other end. He's described as cheerful and enthusiastic, easy to talk to, and caring. One of our staff members stated, although Randy has only been with us a year, it seems like he has been part of the police department family for a long time. As a chief of police, I appreciate his positive impact on morale. He truly cares, and it truly shows. Randy, thank you very much. And finally, Lisa Corpus, please step up. So we have our Ronald Billings, the second Explorer of the Year award. So this is Lisa. She came to our department just last year, and is described as friendly and cheerful. She is interested in career in law enforcement and proves she is willing to work hard for it. In addition to attending regular training sessions and meetings, which is required of the volunteers, she rides out on patrol, helps at the qualification range, and assists during special events. Matter of fact, this past weekend, she gave up a good part of her day to represent the department down at the Meet the First Responders function. Lisa will help out where is needed without being asked, and I have a great deal of respect for Lisa's sense of volunteerism. So thank you very much for what you're doing for us, and we look forward to many years in some capacity having you around. That is all I have, unless there are any questions.
Just, we support our police department, and we absolutely love our officers and every bit of the staff. So thank you, Chief.
Outstanding. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so next up on the agenda is item number 8, which is receive a presentation from the Tuolumne County Alliance for 7. I'm sorry, I misread that. Okay, receive the Sonora Employees Association SEA Employee of the Year for 2021. Sorry, Rochelle.
They wouldn't let us forget you, Mike. It's all good. So this year, this is the third year that we've given a plaque to a member of the Sonora Employees Association. About 3 years back, Chris and I were saying there's one area of the city where they don't get a plaque, and we needed to recognize these hardworking people of the city. The last 2 years, Chris has had the honor because it's been one of his employees. This year, I get the honor because it is one of my employees that I respect and enjoy working with very much. So this year's recipient is Mike Largomasino. They are selected by their peers. Mike is here tonight with his family, and his mom said that he wasn't going to tell her, but she found out, so she's here tonight to support him. I've had the honor of working with Mike
since he came to the city. We worked as peers on several for many years, and upon Bill Selden's retirement, Mike took over as the Public Works Supervisor for the Public Works Department, and he is responsible for all of the day-to-day operations of that department, all the scheduling, all the work that needs to be done. He's the first Johnny on the spot if something goes wrong on a weekend. He's checking emails when he's not supposed to after hours or when he's on vacation, and he's responding back, and it's like, why? You're on vacation. If it was important, I'd call you. He is an amazing employee of the city and quite an asset. And obviously, he is recognized by his peers. And I have some of the comments that they said about Mike, which are the most important comments. His work ethic is admirable, and he's always willing to lend a hand when others need it. Speedy, efficient, willing to take care of any issue requested within hours. Mike is a pleasure to work with and always goes out of his way to make it happen. Pleasant, effective, and donates time to the city. He is an amazing employee. I know that I hear from other department heads how appreciative they are. I know he's done a lot of work for the police department this year, and just how responsive and quick they are to show up. And that's all because of Mike. He's the one that gets everybody going in the morning and gets them where they need to be. It is an honor for me to work with him and to now work with him on a regular basis, and we have a lot of good conversations and a lot of laughs along the way. Some frustrations, but usually we chuckle at the end. And so our plaque is for the City of Sonora Employee of the Year, and it states, "Thank you for your hard work, commitment, encouragement, investment, and involvement in making the city a better place." And this is truly well-deserved, Mike, because you definitely make it a better place. Come on.
Thank you, Rochelle. Okay, now item number 8. Receive a presentation from the Tuolumne County Alliance for Resources and Environment, 2CARE. Jim got me back.
Good evening.
Mine was upside down.
Kind of an exciting night. All these recognition awards and swearing in new officers. This is kind of exciting. I wish we'd have done that later so they could have heard what we were going to say. But anyway, my name is Randy Hanveld. I am the chairman of 2CARE, and I have with me Melinda Fleming, who's our executive director, Craig Conklin, one of our board members, and Jeff Sargo, one of our board members. Normally Glenn Gottschall from the Fire Safe Council joins us too. So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, staff, and public, we're here to talk about the Community Wildfire Protection Fund. This is a concept we came up with, and we were going to roll it out a couple of years ago. But this thing called COVID came around, and public meetings just kind of didn't happen. And it seemed inappropriate to do it on a Zoom meeting. So we didn't have an annual meeting of 2CARE 2 years ago or last year, but this year we did, and we rolled this thing out. And I think you know, by the way, I should say 2CARE has been around since 1988. We're committed to supporting and promoting the wise stewardship of our natural resources, minerals, mining, water, grasslands and grazing, and forest management. And we offer classes to kids and tours, and it's a very educational program. We're trying to teach people what the real stewardship of our natural resources is about. And as you know, our whole area here is rich in natural resources, and it's a large part of our economy, so it's an important thing. So with that, I'll be back in a little bit, talk a little more about where we go from here, but I'm going to bring Jeff Sargo up to narrate and speak to you a little about the video we have to show you, and I think you'll find it enlightening, informative, and perhaps even a little frightening. But I have handouts for you, members of the board, and Melissa. And have those for the public.
Good evening. Thank you for giving us the time this evening. As Randy said, my name is Jeff Sargo. Most of you know me as the owner of Central Heat and Air and Robinson Roofing down on Stockton Street here in the city of Sonora. But tonight I am here representing the Board of Directors of TwoCare. That's Tuolumne County Alliance for Resources and the Environment. If you're not familiar with the group, there is a brochure in the folder we're handing out that looks like this, which will give you background, tell you about all the good things we're involved in. We are part of and an active participant in what's called the wise use movement. We believe that we can and should use the abundant natural resources that God has blessed us with, but at the same time, we believe we should be good stewards of those resources. TwoCare has been fighting for over 30 years for your right to use those natural resources. We are the largest grassroots organization in the county, and if you're not a member, you're welcome to join and help us in this work. We're going to watch a short video now that's on the campfire that took out Paradise, California, and also it covers the Washington fire here in Sonora.
And then there was a point in there where the wind just kind of started picking up. And the spot fires that were not a big deal at the time started engulfing both sides of the road.
By 7:30, the fire had picked up. The wind was spraying burning embers in every direction. A column of smoke was now visible for miles. At the incident command post, Chief Messina was aware this was becoming a major fire.
Just be ready to call in personnel that are off duty right now.
But with firefighters in Concow trapped and aircraft unable to fly because of the wind, he didn't know how fast it was moving.
What was different about this day, it was the fact that as soon as our firefighters engaged, they went right into rescue mode. And they were no longer able, nor did they really care where the fire was spreading. They were too busy on rescuing civilians and ensuring that of their own safety. So we didn't get a lot of intelligence on how fast the fire was spreading.
In the past, fires have rarely crossed the canyon. But the campfire was now spreading at a rate of 80 football fields a minute.
All units, be advised, the town of Paradise is under a mandatory evacuation. The town of Paradise is under a mandatory evacuation.
The fire was swirling around the houses. It was coming in at all angles, defying any sense of gravity or any sense of, in my mind, what would be normal for a fire. Too much was happening, too much was going on, and we were not able to do more than just a couple of handful of streets.
For the moment, yes.
Everybody's clear. All the patients are out from downstairs.
You rock.
I don't know about staff, but we got them all out.
Okay, very good.
There was people that were having to carry an IV bag with them, that were holding their own IV bag. And then we had people that were just coming out of surgery that had to be loaded up.
No availability of ambulances to Feather River Hospital. We have fire on campus now, and I need ambulances.
doctors pulled up with their SUVs and were putting patients in with doctors.
Perfect. Are you helping get people out of here? Yeah. Okay. Hang a hard right.
And nurses are driving their own private vehicles and taking out their car seats and leaving them on the side of the hospital ground. It wasn't a normal evacuation that we've been planning and rehearsing. It was so fast.
What was that? We got room for one more right here as well.
With anywhere from a few minutes to 15, 20 minutes, everything around the hospital was burning and on fire. It went black real quick. It felt like working a night shift.
Is it safe to stand here like this? I don't know if it's safe anywhere. We're gonna lose the hospital.
In less than an hour, the fire swept across the town of Paradise, overwhelming the firefighters' efforts to stop it.
And those winds can push those embers a long ways. And it just kind of perpetuates into one big fire at once. There was no flaming front.
But in this fire, winds high up to 100 miles an hour were blowing the embers sideways.
The wind aloft that lofted the embers was a lot stronger wind than the wind at the surface. And that's what allowed it to throw fireballs all over our town.
Deer County S-15, good to open up both lanes and get everybody out. Pearson and Sawmill need to stop all traffic. Planes, get people moving now.
We conceded, I can tell you, it was 9:23 in the morning. We conceded that maintaining the evacuation routes and civilian rescue was our only objective that day.
Cell phone towers went down. The networks were so clogged that we couldn't get through. It was an event that literally outpaced all of our resources almost immediately, literally outpaced all of the planning that had been done prior to this.
And my car is starting to fill up with smoke at that point. And I told my husband, I'm like, the car's filling up with smoke. I have to get out of the car. And he's like, get out and run. And I'm like, I can't get out and run. You don't understand. There's fire everywhere and I can't run through fire. And he said, you're gonna have to.
Are you trapped?
Yes.
Is your... Okay.
They were coughing, choking. She had a hard time even telling me exactly where they were.
Ma'am, you need to get out of the house.
We can't. Every door's on fire, please.
It started getting real staticky, and I had no response. I was talking to myself, and after 9 minutes and something, the phone went dead.
It took only 4 hours for Paradise to be destroyed. 85 people perished in the campfire. The majority were over 65 years old. Some were trapped in their cars, others were still in their homes.
Everything was perfect that day for a massive destructive incident to do what it did. And it's in place everywhere. Everywhere in California, Arizona, Nevada, Washington, Oregon. And it's like, you don't even want to think about it. Like, what's next? Can it be worse than that? And the answer is yes.
paradise can happen here in Sonora. Everything's in place. It can happen here. It almost happened on August 26th. And what was the difference? Why didn't Sonora burn to the ground like paradise? That's a one-word answer: the wind. They had it, they had lots of it, and we didn't have any. The campfire was a wind-driven fire. In paradise, the wind was pushing the flames ahead at incredible speeds. That 80 football fields he talked about translates to 4.5 miles per minute, 270 miles per hour. We'd have a tough time outrunning that. The wind was pushing the flames at incredible speeds and carrying embers far out of the ahead of the flames and starting spot fires. With high winds, air attack is grounded. We have no bombers in the air delivering retardant, no helicopters delivering crews or retardant or water. And probably worst of all is we have no spotter plane up there telling the ground commanders what the fire is doing, which direction it's moving. The wind is not our friend in this case. And what you end up with then is you have ground crews and ground equipment, and they're working blind. They're guessing at where the fire's going. On August 26th here in Sonora, there wasn't even a breeze. The smoke plume was rising straight up. No wind at all. The Washington fire was driven forward by fuels and no wind. With the Columbia Air Attack Base right here, we had immediate access to incredible air power. The Arola fire was still going, so airplanes were nearby. But when the fire bosses saw the potential for catastrophic fire in downtown Sonora, they diverted everything they had on the Arola fire to the Washington fire. Now that air attack stopped that fire from roaring up over the top of Signal Hill and into Gibbs Ranch and Rancho Sonora Estates, or into Sonora Knolls and on past Sonora High School and out to Columbia. They stopped it burning west through Valponi Acres, or south through Millville Estates, or north up behind the sewer plant and over Knolls Hill into downtown Sonora. And yes, along with hand crews on the ground from Bear Valley, they stopped from burning my business down. Had they not stopped it there, those flames would have run on up Woods Creek, along Southgate, past the fairgrounds, and right into downtown Sonora. We all saw what the Washington fire did with no wind and tremendous air attack. Imagine the results if the wind speeds had been high enough to ground the aircraft. That fire would have done catastrophic fire to Sonora no matter which direction it went. And the truth is, we could not have stopped it. We need to stop thinking about wildfires as being out there or up there in the forest only. We are surrounded by and live in a landscape of incredible fire fuels that have grown up and choked the land around our homes and throughout our communities. We need to think about wildfires being right here in town where we live, just like the Washington fire. Will a catastrophe like Paradise happen again? Of course it will. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and where. And it could be worse if we're not prepared. It's hard to imagine the impact an event like that would have on our lives. I had an employee who used to live in Paradise. Todd's house burnt down. The business he worked for burnt down. The bank he put his money in burned down, as did the grocery store he shopped at, the school his children went to, and that hospital you saw there where his children were born. His town is gone. And now, so is he. He and thousands of others like him have had to relocate and start an entire life elsewhere. So think about this for a second. How long is it going to be before Paradise is a town or a community again? And if it happened here, how long would it be before Sonora would be a community again? How many of our friends and neighbors would have to move away and be lost to us forever? This is pretty serious business. And don't think it can't happen here. People in the Oakland Hills in '92 didn't think it could happen there either. That was our first big wake-up call. But look around us. The Camp Fire took out Paradise. The Butte Fire took out a big chunk of Calaveras County. The Bear Fire decimated the Plumas National Forest further north. And then you look a little further than that and you see the damage done by the Caldor, the Dixie, and the Bootleg fires, some of the largest in history. Those landscapes will never be forests again in our lifetimes. They'll be green, they'll be grass, they'll be brush, but they will never be forests again in our lifetime. The rim fire got huge, but we dodged a bullet. It didn't burn into any of our communities. Here's another fact for you history buffs think about. Sonora has a history of burning to the ground. I've been in attics around town, and some of them are charred pretty good from the old days. People, it's time for action. So what can we do to minimize the impact wildfire will have on our community, on our lives? First off, get personally prepared. Develop a plan and share that plan with your family. If you have to evacuate, what will you take with you? And how will that change if you're at home, at work, or just out and about? How about your kids and they're in school? Or your elderly parents or elderly neighbors? How will you help them get out? And how will you escape? Here in Tuolumne County, we are not in a great situation as far as escape routes. If you live up the hill from Sonora, you're pretty much stuck being funneled onto Highway 108 to get out of town. Yeah, there's some back roads that the locals know about, but how long will it be before the locals clog those and they're jammed up too? Are you better going in the middle of a big open field? Are you better going to the middle of Walmart parking lot? A significant number of the 85 people that died in the Camp Fire in Paradise were stuck in their vehicles. They died from smoke inhalation because the traffic was jammed up and they could not get out of town, could not move, just like the nurse that spoke on the film. When we were told to evacuate with the Washington fire, we had almost immediate gridlock downtown here. So it's something to think about. The next thing you need to do is prepare your home for the fire. Clean up and ember harden your home and property before a fire comes. To find out what to do, go online and watch videos. There's some great videos on this out there. One from the University of Nevada, Reno Extension, Be Ember Prepared, is a good place to start. Others are available from the NFPA, CAL FIRE, U.S. Forest Service, and surprisingly enough, Fire Safe Marin has a great program down there. There's a lot of information that is readily available. Learn what to do and just go do it. Then check out your neighbor's property, both from the perspective of what might happen to their home and how you can help them, but also consider the real threat that their property may be to yours. Look at the vacant land around you that can be a threat to everyone in the neighborhood. If your community is a fire-wise community, get involved and help to get the work done. If not, set one up and get the work done to protect your community. If you've got acreage, after you've done the cleanup, run some cattle, some sheep, some goats on it to help keep it cleaned up. Think of the grass, brush, small trees, and down trees as stored up energy. And that energy is all going to be released if we have a fire. Or you can remove enough of it, of that fuel, to get the fire small enough to be stopped and put out. It's our decision at this point. We need to restore our surroundings to be as close as possible as it was when fire regularly burned through here and kept the fuels loading down. Fuels loading down. So plan ahead, decide on your escape options, prepare your home, get your immediate neighbors prepared, get your neighborhood prepared. TUCARE has been educating about the wise use of natural resources since 1988, over 30 years. The care and management of those resources must include reducing the threat of the catastrophic fires, the damage they do to our forests, our communities, our businesses, our homes, and our lives. We would not be fulfilling our missions if we didn't step up and help our neighbors and friends protect the place we call home. TUCARE's board has recognized that the #1 threat to our community is fire, and we're doing something about it. TUCARE is using presentations like this one to educate about the need for and to raise money for the Community Wildfire Protection Fund. This work is a joint effort between TUCARE and the Sonora Area Foundation. TUCARE will educate the public, help raise money. The Sonora Area Foundation will hold and distribute the funds that are raised for projects that are approved. We are working with local fire agencies to identify and help fund strategic projects that will provide the most protection for our community. Our goal is to help fund projects that can't be funded any other way and to help private landowners engage in this effort to reduce the threat to our community. Some good work is being done and has been done, but we need more, much, much more. We need to make the community aware of this and get the community behind it. Just look around where you live. Gullies choked with fuel, overgrown vacant land, hillsides thick with brush, and small trees. All that stored up energy just ready for a fire. And although I should have known better, I never considered that brush-covered hillside between my shop and the bypass as a threat. But those 100-foot flames you saw behind my shop in the video said otherwise. Incredible fire. So what's the land surrounding your house or business look like? Will the energy stored there be the source of the fire that takes your place out? Shaded fuel breaks with ground fuels and ladder fuels removed must replace the dense vegetation we see all around us. Local examples of shaded fuel breaks that have recently been created are behind the Sonora Plaza Shopping Center above the hospital. That whole hilltop has been thinned out. There's a project just completed behind Sonora High School and on over to Racetrack Road. That's the kind of thing we need to be doing. Another project that is the Tuolumne County Fire Safe Council, and if you look in your packet, there is a map. Looks like this. Tuolumne County Fire Safe Council has been doing projects and working on creating a 27-mile long, 1 mile wide fire break around our communities, a buffer between us and the national forest, basically. When it's completed, it will help keep fires from private land going into the forest and from forest fires going into private land. Big project. But it's time for action. Join with 2Care and participate in funding the Community Wildfire Protection Fund projects. In the folder you received is a card explaining how you can donate to the Community Wildfire Protection, this card here. If you know of others who might be willing to donate to the fund, tell them about the CWPF also. Make the checks payable to Sonora Area Foundation with a notation that they're for CWPF, and of course, these are tax deductible. This is a must-do job for all of us, and we can do it. But if we don't get started now, it'll be too late when the next fire starts. So join us. Let's get this work done now before the fire starts. Because, you know, if you and I aren't willing to make the investment to protect the place we call home, who will be? Yeah, it's not up to somebody else. It's up to us. Thank you. Any questions?
Does the council have any questions? I want to add that I have one of those attics that you can see that caught on fire at one time. So it's pretty scary.
It is scary. In your packet, there was several pictures. The first picture here, that is the Washington fire starting. This is down across the entrance from the entrance to Millville Mobile Estates. Dick Plan, former supervisor Dick Plan, lives in Valponi Acres there. He was on his way home for lunch and he saw the fire when it was about this big. By the time he drove through Valponi Acres and back up to his house, it had already flown past his house and was gone. The second page there is an access road right behind my shop, and that road stopped the fire burning into my shop and on into town. There was enough of a break in the fuels. This is what we're talking about, creating breaks in the fuels to slow down that type of fire. And then the next picture, this one here, if you'll look, you'll notice the right side is very green and the left side is very barren. That right side's my property. That bare side is your property. That belongs to the city of Sonora. That hillside, after the fire burned, we were very concerned about erosion. So I've got some erosion control grass mix and some wildflower mix, and we spread it on that property. And amazing, I mean, we didn't have much erosion. Of course, we didn't have much rain this winter, but you can see from the other 2 or 3 pictures there, flowers look really nice. And they are, I just took this day before yesterday, so these are in bloom now. So drive by, slow down a little bit, and look at all the flowers. There's a lot of black stuff sticking up in the air, but there are some beautiful flowers underneath. That's it for tonight. Randy's gonna talk.
Oh, thank you.
I hope that was sobering. Rimfire was the largest timber fire in the history of California when it happened. Now doesn't rate in the top 10. This is getting worse, and we haven't done anything about it. You know, we're all guilty. You know, in one form or another, we all share some culpability here at all levels: the feds, the state, the locals, and each individually. I encourage you and personally and members of the public that are listening to support 2Care's program, this Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Our partner is Sonora Area Foundation. They control the money. We don't. It's not a donation to 2Care. We do advise on how the money's spent, and we want to put strategic programs together to do things. And one-time gifts, and I don't care whether it's 5 cents or $5,000, and somebody actually gave us 20,000, are welcome. But I encourage people to do this on a regular basis. Gloria and I didn't introduce the most important person in the room. My bride is back here. Gloria, she and I have been since we started this with Sonora Area Foundation, a year and a half or so ago. We've been donating every month to help do this thing, and I encourage the public to do that too. I encourage the city to endorse this program with time, and to look at what we can do, and we freely look forward to having a continuing dialogue on this and how we move forward, protect our community, protect our people. I think Jeff said the forest on the Rimfire footprint will never be a forest again in your lifetime. Probably not our grandchildren's lifetime. It's that devastating. There are areas, if you remember, Rimfire was 257,315 acres, as I recall, or something like that, 402 square miles. More than 100 square miles were severe vegetation burn. And there was a lot of it was severe ground burn. The soil was severely damaged. This can all happen to us, and I just encourage you to, you, the public, not just you, the council, I'm speaking to everybody, to support this program. We appreciate your time. Sorry that Daryl Slocum couldn't be with us today. He normally comes with us and speaks to this subject, but they are strong supporters of this program as well. So if there's any questions you have for any of us, we'd be glad to answer those.
I was just going to ask you if you could introduce the other people that are with you.
Oh, sure. Well, Craig, you want to stand up? Craig Conklin. He's a retired CAL FIRE and member of our board. Melinda is our executive director, 2Care. And of course, you met Jeff. And I don't think well, Gloria, of course, the most important person in the room.
My name's Mary Ann Wright. I'm the director of the Sonora Foundation. I go along with Daryl to a lot of meetings.
Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, we really appreciate your time and giving us this time to share this story. It's an important story. Everybody in our county needs to be aware of this. Washington fire was really scary because not only did it threaten Sonora, it threatened the livelihoods of this entire community. Beyond fire doesn't recognize boundaries. I don't have to tell you that. But it also was right at the major evacuation spot. How more serious could that have been? I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
This presentation is available for community groups. Yeah.
You can check the 2Care website. The presentation is on the website, right?
The video is.
Oh, Councilmember Such has a question.
I'm just curious where do you get the wildflowers that you planted? I'm sorry. I know this is more important than that, but.
I ordered about 30 pounds of just erosion control. Another company sold
Uh-huh. I would love that. Yeah, thanks. Oh, I guess I won't ask another question.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, I will go to public comment for non-agenda items. The public may address the council on any item of public interest not otherwise on the agenda that is within the jurisdiction of the city. No action may be taken. Matters to be addressed may be referred to city staff or placed on a subsequent meeting agenda. Speakers are limited to a 3-minute presentation. If participating via Zoom, please raise your hand using the raise your hand feature or *9, *6 to unmute.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Sharon Maravich. I'm a resident of Sonora. I'm a taxpayer, and I used to be on the city council. I was the second woman in 131 years to be on the council. Before I make my presentation, I would like to thank the city for removing the changeable message sign from the front of City Hall, and especially thank Mayor Hawkins for his leadership. It came down pretty fast after I talked to him. It isn't easy being a street tree in Sonora. The cork elms planted by the pioneers along Washington Street provided shade and habitat before they began to fall in 1922 after 60 years. Here we are 100 years later, and the pistache trees that have graced the front of the city's parking garage next door since the early 1980s have been cut down to accommodate a new sidewalk in a Caltrans paid for pedestrian safety and, ironically, beautification project. Even the ivy that softened the appearance of the big garage is dying because its vines have been severed from the earth. Ivy has always been a way to enhance buildings, especially in the east, where the Ivy League is located, and the colleges there are referred to as the Ivies. But somehow Caltrans found a way to leave the ore car in place and work around it, but not the trees or the ivy. Having attended just about all of the Vision Sonora meetings for years, the removal of trees in front of the parking garage was never mentioned. I even attended the final meeting on the Washington Elkin Street project when the council approved it on a split vote. I would have spoken up if I had known that the trees would fall. The official street tree of Sonora is pistache, and the ivy, the removal of those in the ivy is an unacceptable blow to the beauty and ambience of that part of Sonora. I know you cannot take action as a result of my remarks, but please move in the direction of requiring Caltrans to submit plans to the city's Park,
30 seconds.
Recreation, and Beautification Committee. We need to know how Caltrans proposes to re-beautify that which it destroyed. Then, by ordinance, the Parks, Rec, and Beautification Committee has a final say on landscaping. We don't want sculptured shrubbery or trees that look like big lollipops, but we don't know what they want to do. I'd also like to point out that the removal of trees on city property is required to go through the Parks, Rec, and Beautification Committee, and that did not happen.
Thank you. I will be getting a hold of you, Sharon. Thank you. Okay, anyone else for public comment? Okay. Next, we will go to the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar considered routine and will be voted on in one motion unless a council member or members of the public has a question or wishes to discuss an item. In that case, the item will be removed from the consent calendar, considered separately. Approval of city council minutes for our January 11th, 2022, January 18th, 2022, February 7th, 2022, and February 22nd, 2022. Item number 10, approve an agreement between the City of Sonora and Sonora Union High School District to lease the city-owned parking lot on the south side of School Street for a term of 5 years for the total annual amount of $10,890 and authorize the city administrator to execute the agreement. Number 11 is budget modifications. Authorize the city administrator to sign up purchase orders with Pacific Displays in the amount of $50,000 for the replacement of city Christmas decorations destroyed in the Washington fire, and authorize a subsequent budget adjustment and accompanying budget transfer. It requires a 4/5 vote. Authorize the budget adjustment and accompanying budget transfer in the amount of $25,000 from an unrestricted fund balance to fund a sewer line replacement located at the Public Works facility. It requires a 4/5 vote. And then number 12 is approval of disbursements in the amount of $168,699.59 for payroll inclusive of employee salaries, employer and employee taxes and retirement contributions, miscellaneous voluntary employee deductions, holiday pay, and other adjustments, including retro pay. That was really long. Does the council member want to pull any of these items?
I don't necessarily want to pull. I want a question answered real quick on the budget modifications for the sewer line. That is located out here, adjacent to this, at the city yard, right? Next to where the parking lot is. Is that correct?
I think we need to keep a microphone back there for Chris or Rochelle.
Yeah, that is at Public Works facility.
Okay, I just
on School
want to
Street.
make sure that's where it was.
Yeah, they have to cut out the existing pipe and put a new pipe in.
Okay. Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Any other questions? Is there any public comment on this? Don't everyone run up at once. Okay, so I'll bring it back to council for motion and then a vote.
I will move to approve the consent calendar.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Garaventa, second by Mayor Pro Tem Plummer. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Passes 5-0. Excellent. Okay, under new business, I like this one. Number 13, Planning Commissioner appointments. So we're going to do these two separately, okay? So item number 1 under item number 13, consideration of the mayor's recommendation to reappoint Bess Levine to serve as the City of Sonora Planning Commissioner for a 4-year term, expires July 1st, 2026. Then Rochelle.
So we have 2 planning commissioners that are vacancies, and basically we normally would have 1, but we have an immediate one because unfortunately Jim Grinnell had to resign from the planning commission. He was doing a really good job and he will be missed, but we gave him his best regards, and we had to move forward with his replacements. So I worked with the mayor, and I know he did some outreach, and I appreciate that. We also had Bess. Her term was getting ready to expire in July, so we figured we might as well take both at the same time and then move forward, so we didn't have to do this again later in the year. So we had 2 applications that we received. One was from Nathan Morales, and the other was from Bess Levine. We're going to do it separate, but I'll just combine it for this.
Absolutely, that's fine.
Bess did apply for the term that'll expire July 1 of 2026, and then Nathan applied for the one that will expire July 1, 2025, and that was to finish out the term for Jim Grinnell. They both are highly qualified. Bess has done an exceptional job on the Planning Commission. She's been a pleasure to work with, and it's nice to have somebody young and smart and really a go-getter on there. So I really appreciate working with him. I know that Nathan is also here in the audience tonight, and I look forward to working with him as well. So I am recommending that you go with the mayor's appointment and we move forward.
Yeah, just wanted to throw out there with Bess. Bess, you were the youngest member of the Planning Commission ever. I mean, and you're doing an amazing and phenomenal job. I know, you've had great parents backing you up and teaching you and training you, and I really got to give some credit out there. So, I'd look forward for another 4 years, and then I'll say something when we get to Nathan. So, but I just want to thank you for your service to the city. Is there any other public comment? I'm going to ask for council comment. I guess I should have asked for council member comment first and then did public and then came back, but So,
I just want to say that I'm very excited that Bess is on for another 4 years. Great.
And I add that a salute to youth. Yay. I mean, I'm really excited that, that she has that investment in Sonora's future. So thank you.
okay, okay, now I'll ask for public comment. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council.
Ditto.
They said. Yeah, I was going to say I could hardly
Make it dittos,
add
Jim.
to what has already been said, but we appreciate your volunteerism and the good work that you are putting in, and imagine that we'll see more of you in the future. So I move to accept the nomination.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Plummer, second by Councilmember Garaventa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Passes 5-0. Congratulations and thank you. Okay, next up is the consideration of Nathan Morales to serve as City of Sonora Planning Commissioner for the 3-year term, expiring on July 1st, 2025. This is the leftover term from Commissioner Jim Grinnell, who I think we were all sad to see, but you know, things happen, health issues happen, and he was really sad to leave this particular position. So, Nathan, did you want to come up and say anything real quick? Maybe a little bit about your experience. I kind of grilled you pretty hard, so.
I thought I heard one of the other, someone mentioned one of the other candidates was young and smart. So the competition is tough. I don't have either of those, but I have a desire to serve. So my name's Nathan, and people will ask me, did you grow up here? And the answer is always sort of. My mother lived up here. My dad was in Livermore, and so I kind of went back and forth. I went to Somerville L High and then Sonora High as well. And then I moved back up here on purpose. So I wanted to be here. I'm not fleeing to Idaho like a lot of people. I live in downtown Sonora. I had to evacuate like you during the Washington fire, but I want to serve because I love this city, and any way that I can help, I'm glad to do so.
Excellent. I was going to say, I've known Nathan for, oh gosh, probably since 2007 when he would come in the restaurant frequently, and he threw something out there being a typical smart aleck that he is. And I'm like, who is this guy? You know, so then we made friends, and ever since, so occasionally I'll drive by his house and throw something at it.
Yep.
That kind of thing. So no, thank you. Thank you for applying. And yeah, I guess that's all I have for you. Unless the count, oh, I'm sorry, Colette. I've been looking at, you know, so go ahead.
I just want to say that I worked with Nathan for almost 2 years on social equity, and it was a pleasure to work with you. He's a great committee member. He is smart, and I think he's young, but
I'll take it.
but he's also measured and wise, and so great choice. Both are great choices.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you as well, Nathan, as my nominee for the Social Equity Committee and for the backbreaking work that involved and your doggedness doing it. And thank you then for applying to work with the city and help us further. Thank you very much.
Glad to help. It was an education for sure. I learned a lot. So.
Cool.
All right,
thank you. Okay, looking for any public comment? Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll bring it back to the council.
I move to approve the nomination of Nathan Morales.
I second that.
Okay, wow, you two agreed on something. That's really awesome.
We often do.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Plummer, second by Councilmember Such. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Excellent, passes 5-0. Nathan, thank you and congratulations to the both of you. Okay, so next on this very short meeting is council member and department head reports. So I will start with the chiefs. Okay, Chief New.
Good evening again. Just wanted to point out that this Thursday, May 4th, is National Firefighters Day. So there is a campaign that they've started to light your house red. So if you have a red light, that's for firefighters. It doesn't mean anything else. But if you notice at the fire station, if you know, it's not the red light district. So if you notice that most of the fire stations in the state of California and nationwide, they have red lights outside of their stations. So they're just saying in support of firefighters, if you change your light bulb on your porch and fly it red. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Rochelle, anything? I would have loved to hear Ron Stern comment, because he would have commented about being a kid back in the 50s and delivering groceries. Yes. Yeah, there's a big story, and
He's
I'll never
referring to
forget
a
Ron
story
telling
there.
it.
Just a couple quick updates. So the Red Church project, which you guys know is a city project, not a Caltrans project, that's happening now out in front of City Hall. They finished pouring the sidewalks on this side of the building. People will have sidewalk access starting tomorrow. It's a 24-hour cure on the sidewalk. The driveways, they do a 5-day cure because that way it'll withstand the vehicles and we won't have as much cracking issues. Just to clarify, the tree removal and the ivy removal was a decision made before Tim Miller ever left. It was part of the project the whole time, and it was due to the maintenance issue and the damage that the trees were causing, as you guys saw out there with the crumbling of the brick. And any landscaping that goes back in will be decided by the Parks and Beautification. And there's not as much room, but they will get to decide what goes back in there. But it was an issue of ongoing maintenance and damage. And when they looked at the sidewalk, the tree had caused some damage to the sidewalks as well. So anyway, that's on that. The transit project went out to bid. Bid was high. We got one bid. We had five contractors pull plans. We had 4 at the pre-bid meeting. We only got one bid on Friday. It's high, so we got to look for some more money, or hang tight on that, and we'll see where we go from here. And then the last thing is the farmers market starts a week from Saturday. So I know some people love that market. A lot of you guys are out there every week. And so we've got all our applications coming in. A lot of your guys' favorites, of course, will be back. And some new blood too. So I think you guys will be excited. It'll be a great market as always. And we look forward to another market season. So
Looking forward to that.
oh, and the bathroom's under construction. Thank you. If you guys haven't been by there, I'm not a construction expert, but I'm telling you the concrete overlay or pad that he put over the top of that to secure the top of that structure looks amazing. You guys should go check it out. And they're working on the inside now, getting ready on that. So as soon as that project is done, we'll be able to take the porta potties away and the storage container away, and we'll be moving everything back to that facility, and it'll be a nice thing for the market as well. So anyway, that's also underway. So lots of things going on. We're unbelievably busy. So.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Okay, Mr. Gorski. Okay, so I'll bring it to the front.
Nothing tonight for me.
Okay. Douglas White, our city attorney. Anything?
Wake up.
Nothing more tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councilmember Segestrom.
Well, I did want to comment. I was volunteered with Love Tuolumne County for the Vision Sonora Committee, and Tyler Somerset with the Blue Zone was our coordinator and supervisor, and we worked on the bathroom down by the police station. And I'd never used that bathroom. I didn't realize it's like it's like one person at a time. So I know the new bathrooms will be hugely appreciated because at least it will more than one person can use it. And we also cleaned up the garden there, and my cousin Charles sanded down the picnic table and revarnished it. It's amazing what 15 people can do in 3 hours. It was really a lot of fun. What else is going on? I met with Katie Dunn in the Christmas Town, and I want to commend her for her energy and enthusiasm and ongoing efforts to make Sonora, put us on the map as a Christmas town. And 2022 is going to be phenomenal. So I guess that's about all. I did voter registration at the Home and Garden Show, and I'll just, keep on plugging until I get to report again.
Councilmember Garaventa?
I didn't really have any meetings in the second half of the month to attend, although I did attend the Access Tuolumne board meeting in my dual roles, I guess. Actually, I'm not as a city council member. I wouldn't be doing it that way, but I was there to see what they were up to and what we're up to, really. So that's it.
Okay. Councilmember Such, thank you.
I attended a couple Tuolumne County Commission on Homelessness meetings. One was just our regular meeting, and the other two were the outdoor shelter meeting. And that group is sort of wrapped up, or pretty close to having wrapped up our work. So I'm really kind of proud of the work that group has accomplished, and we'll give a report at the next meeting and turn our information over to county staff. I attended an ATCA, it was like a 4-hour ATCA. Were you on that, David? Was that 4 hours, or was it 4? A 4-hour board training for ATCA that I actually learned a lot. I wish I had taken that earlier. And also, I think probably every other council member received an email about the Project Opioid training. It just came across my city email. So I took that training last week, and it is riveting, actually. And it talked a lot about, it was actually for law enforcement. And it talked a lot about the increase of overdose deaths because of fentanyl. And there are pills being manufactured that look just like prescription OxyContin, but they're not. They're being manufactured on the street, and people who think they're just taking one everyday pain medication have sudden death. They die. And it's a big problem. Hopefully we'll get some education in the schools about those, because kids are dying throughout the country. I think the death rate is up 121%. The other thing that I really liked about this training, and I'll send the link to you if you're interested, is that they really talked about a shift from trying to make bad people good to trying to make sick people well in the treatment of drug overdose and drug abuse in our country, and get it out of the criminal justice system and really try to fund the kind of help that people actually need. So anyhow, that's it for me. Let me know if you want the link.
I'd like it. It might have, because everything goes through to my Gmail, and it might have just gone to spam then, because I never noticed it. But so nothing further this evening.
Okay. Just something real quick of note. I guess I've got a meeting with the governor's office via Zoom on Thursday, I believe. Yeah, I've been doing especially once we're coming out of COVID, I've been trying to advocate for Sonora, and even had a couple candidates contact me at one point for like state senate and assembly and that sort of thing. So I don't care what party there are. That's not my interest in this position. My interest is Sonora. So whoever the next people are that are in charge, hopefully they'll go, hey, we want to come to Sonora and spend our money there and make it a nice hub. And that's really my goal. So that is all I have for tonight. I want to thank everyone for a great meeting. So Thank you again. We will call this meeting over at 6:32.